Fidelity National Title facilitates secure closing processes for buyers, sellers, and real estate professionals. Anyone looking for more information can find them on the web at www.fntic.com. Fidelity National Title has offices located all throughout Lake and McHenry counties.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
You guys have a great radio station. You just play the best music.
Support for Unlocking Lake County is provided by Harder & Shotland Law Firm, offering legal services across various areas including criminal defense, real estate, family law, and more. Harder & Shotland is committed to addressing the legal needs of individuals and businesses with a focus on thorough and knowledgeable representation. Information on Harder & Shotland Law Firm can be found at hardershotland.com or by visiting their office at 625 West Rollins Road in Round Lake Beach. They can also be reached at 847-546-0022.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
Unlocking Lake County.
98.3 The Life.
It's the best station on the radio.
Support for Unlocking Lake County comes from the Sly Marinca team at Cross Country Mortgage, specializing in a range of mortgage solutions tailored to meet the needs of homebuyers and homeowners. With a focus on delivering efficient and knowledgeable service, the Sly Marinca team is dedicated to facilitating a smooth mortgage process. Their office is located at 532 Lake Street, Suite A in Antioch, Illinois. They can also be reached at sly@ccm.com or by phone at 847-722-1775.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County.
Unlocking Lake County
with Dick Barr. 98.3 The Life.
Support for Unlocking Lake County comes from the Dick Barr Group at Village Realty, offering both residential and commercial real estate services across northeastern Illinois. Find us at our office located at 1915 East Grand Avenue in Lindenhurst, or visit us online at www.dickbarr.com. For a personal real estate experience, they can also be reached at 847-579-9736. At the Dick Barr Group, your property goals are their mission.
This is Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
Support for Unlocking Lake County is provided by Fidelity National Title Insurance Company, offering title insurance and real estate services. With origins tracing back over 150 years, Fidelity National Title facilitates secure closing processes for buyers, sellers, and real estate professionals. Anyone looking for more information can find them on the web at www.fntic.com. Fidelity National Title has offices located all throughout Lake and McHenry counties.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
Your favorite show right here on 98.3 FM.
98.3 The Life.
Support for Unlocking Lake County is provided by Harder & Shotland Law Firm, offering legal services across various areas including criminal defense, real estate, family law, and more. Harder & Shotland is committed to addressing the legal needs of individuals and businesses with a focus on thorough and knowledgeable representation. Information on Harder & Shotland Law Firm can be found at hardershotland.com or by visiting their office at 625 West Rollins Road in Round Lake Beach. They can
That's your real estate advantage. And now here's your host, Dick Barr.
Hello, and welcome back. This is your host, Dick Barr, with Unlocking Lake County here in beautiful downtown Round Lake Beach. Welcome back. We've got Sly back in the studio. Say hello, Sly Marinca.
Hello, everybody.
Boy, we're really all pinned. We got to figure that out. And the lovely Christin Kaufman. Say hello.
Hello.
And we got a special guest in the studio who's going to talk to us all about what the heck is going on in the insurance industry with premiums. Dan Weier of the Dan Weier Agency. Say hello, Dan.
Hello, everybody. Glad to be here.
And Dan will be kind of bouncing in and out of the show in the first half. In the second half, we're going to go really break it down and hit the hard-hitting questions and find out what's going on and what you can do about it and what are your options. And do you have enough coverage? Boy, it's a sweltering one today.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is my favorite time of year. I love this heat. I love it.
You're nuts.
90 degrees with 100% humidity.
Usually my favorite time of year, but it's usually not this oppressively hot.
Yeah.
Well, it's not. I mean, I don't know. It's just like barely 90. Right? It's not
just
100.
barely 90.
I don't know. I like my summers hot. I like my winters full of snow.
I'm too pale for that. I've got to walk around with an umbrella this time of year.
It's hotter
me and
here
my
than it was in
youngest.
Florida last week.
How was Florida, Sly?
Wonderful. Pensacola Beach was beautiful. We got to see the Blue Angels practice, and we watched a documentary on Prime. So that's where they're stationed, out of Pensacola Beach. Pensacola, Florida. Beach was wonderful. Weather was great. We had no rain. I know I had friends on vacation in the southern part of Florida, and they were swamped the entire time.
Were your kids into it?
Loved it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
How old
My
are they?
older one, my 11-year-old, my 8-year-old, sat there complaining the whole time because it was hot. We were on a ferry watching the practice, but I got some awesome epic videos. We got to go to the Naval Air Museum, which you're ever in that area. Awesome stuff to check out.
That's awesome. I feel like usually it's like the flip, the opposite, right? Where usually like it's around like 11, 12 that kids start becoming really complainy.
Yeah.
At least in my experience. So good for you.
Yeah, ours is the opposite.
Nice.
Our older one is all about everything and learning and experiencing, and our little one's like,
thanks.
Yeah, I just want to go to the pool.
Same.
Did you get to experience it? When they do their training, do they do any sonic booms?
It wasn't quite a sonic boom, but it was pretty close. So because they split up, so 4 of them are flying in this diamond formation, they call it, and then 2 are off on their own. And everyone's like looking over here, watching, and one comes right over the boat at just about Mach, and everyone jumped. I mean, it was pretty awesome, but. Yeah, they do all of their maneuvers. They're practicing, and they pipe the sound, so you actually get to hear the pilots. So we're on the ferry, and they pipe the sound in, and you could hear what they're talking about and all of their communications back and forth. And so it was really neat to experience that. Highly recommend that.
Cool.
If you're ever in that area.
That's cool. I don't know how many people actually going down south in this heat. What was the temperatures?
Yeah. It was 90. It was
So it's the same
like
as here.
Same here. Yeah.
What about the humidity? High? Low?
Oh yeah, it's humid.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
It's
humid.
Florida.
But yeah, we're at the beach. We're on the beach, so there's always a nice cool breeze. We're not cool, but there's a breeze.
Yeah.
And the kids get in the water, and we always go right after school gets out. That's our favorite time to go because you're guaranteed nice weather. We've gone on spring break before where it's been in the 50s and 60s.
Oh,
Yeah,
It's like-
I went to Florida once over spring break, and it was literally warmer here than it was in Florida at the time that I was there.
It's like when that happens, I want my money back.
Yeah, literally. Like Florida, cough it up, give it back.
Yeah, I don't know about going in like August or September, but now this time late.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but
June.
that gets into like hurricane season, doesn't
Correct.
it? Yeah, towards the
Yeah.
end of summer, early fall. Yeah.
Yep,
You kinda take
been
it
there
up.
for that too. You're taking a risk for sure.
That's for the thrill seekers.
Yeah, no, thank you.
September to December.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yep.
Dan, you spend quite a bit of time out in Arizona, right? You don't have the humidity out there, do you?
No, not at all.
They're probably
None
begging
at
for
all.
humidity.
It makes about a 15-degree difference, I think.
Oh yeah, the humidity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you have 90 degrees with no humidity, that feels like 75. 90 degrees in Arizona is perfect weather.
Oh, okay, interesting. I thought with all the pools there, they would be loading up the skies with humidity.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna get to because we got a big show ahead of us tonight. We're gonna talk about obviously the market, what's going on with the market. It's still chugging away at a fast speed. We're gonna talk about now that we got Sly back in the studio. We're gonna see what's going on in mortgage rates. What's to expect? We're gonna do some MythBusters, and we're gonna talk to Dan Weier about insurance and how much is too little, how much is too much, and why are things costing as much as they are. And if we have time, we're going to hit some more Q&A. Oh, I want to hit one Q&A that came in from last week.
Oh, yeah.
I want to make sure I cover this. So I got a request for information from a listener who said, "Well, this didn't come directly to me. It came through the station. It says, does the host of Unlocking Lake County wear a toupee?"
Wow.
Yeah, so I don't know if I was going to pay money on a toupee, I don't think it would be great.
Yeah.
So the answer to that question, no. Host of Unlocking Lake County does not wear a toupee.
How did you feel hearing that?
I don't know. It just kind of felt weird. I never considered it. But I know my last haircut, I went a little bit, I do my summer cut a little bit short on the sides, a little bit long on the top, so I can kind of comb it over. And I mean,
they thought it looked so good that it's fake. It can't be real.
That's so funny.
I know, right?
That's a compliment,
I'm trying
I
to
think.
imagine like being in a man's shoes and being asked that question. Like on one hand, would that be almost like a little bit like a bit of a hit to the ego, right? Of like,
no.
But as someone who has all their hair, I imagine that's not really an insecurity for you. So you're totally just like, no, it's good.
I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So that was the Mythbusters.
That was the Mythbusters, yes. Dick Barr does not wear a toupee.
People were dying to know.
Oh, goodness.
We cover all the hard-hitting topics on Unlocking Lake County. So let's dive right into what's going on. Actually, we can't yet because I'm not prepared. Let's see here. Let's bring our levels up and let's get going.
Stay on top of the market with Dick Barr's Market Minute.
Dick Barr's Market Minute.
Welcome back. This is Dick Barr with Unlocking Lake County here for this week's Market Minute for June 19th, 2024. The entire region of Northwest Lake County sitting on 167 active properties, 41 new listings this week compared to 74 the prior week. 62 properties have gone under contract, slightly up from the prior 7 with 58. And this month under contract, there's been 173, big jump from the prior month of 117. Days on market average for the region at 19 days with a 0.7 month supply of inventory. Lowest price sold home in the region in the past 30 days, $100,000 with $1.2 million on the high. And still sitting out there, that $4.9 million listing is the highest active price in the area. Median price, $380,000. Now, heading over to Antioch, where they're sitting on 35 active homes. Antioch used to be the number one holder of that spot, but Gurney has replaced it this week. But sitting on the market with 35 active homes, 8 new listings this week compared to 12 the prior week. 10 new homes under contract in the past 7 days, down from 13 the prior. And this month has seen 35 homes go under contract, double prior month where there was 18. Days on market average is 20 days with a 0.9 month supply of inventory. Lowest priced home sold, $165,000 with a high price of $555,000. $2.5 million is the highest active price and a $368,900 median. Now on over to Volo, Fox Lake, and Ingleside, where they're sitting on 24 active listings. 2 new homes on the market compared to 7 the prior week. 5 homes under contract in the past 7 days, slightly down from the 7 the prior week. 12 homes have gone under contract in the past month, slightly ticked up from the 10 last month. And days on market average, 31, highest in the region, with a 1 month supply of inventory. Lowest priced in the area, $100,000 with a high of $470,000. $1.7 million is the highest active price and a median home sales price of $339,000. Now on over to Grays Lake, Gages Lake, Haynesville, Third Lake, and Wildwood, where 29 homes are sitting active on the market. 6 new listings this week, big drop from last week where there was 11. 11 homes have gone under contract in the past week, up from 8 the prior week. And 28 homes under contract in the past 30 days, up from 18. And 21 days on market average with a 0.8 month supply of inventory. $160,000 is the lowest price with $675,000 on the high end. Highest active price, $977,000. And a median price of $394,000. Now on over to Gurney, Wadsworth, and Old Mill Creek, where they're sitting on 37 listings. Highest it's been in months. You remember back then when there was like 5 and 6 active listings. 37. But they have the lowest days on market average, too. 10 new listings this week compared to 16 the prior week. 15 homes have gone under contract in the past 7 days, about double the prior 7, where there was only 8. And 28 homes have gone under contract in the past 30 days, about double the prior month, where there was only 15. 10 days is the market average for selling a home in Gurney, with a 0.9 month supply of inventory. Lowest home sold in the past 30 days, $176,000 with a high of $1.2 million. Highest active, $4.9 million, and a median value of $436,000. Now to our backyard of Lindenhurst and Lake Villa, where we're sitting on 31 homes on the market. 10 new listings this week, same as last week. 8 homes have gone under contract in the past 7 days, slightly down from the 12 the prior. 28 homes have gone under contract in the past 30 days, slightly up from the 24 in the prior month. And a 21 days on market average with a 0.8 month supply of inventory. Lowest price in the region, $128,000 with a high of $885,000. Highest active home for sale is $4.5 million with a median price of $380,000. Now we're going to finish up with the Round Lake area. This one's going to blow you away. Only 11 homes in the area for sale. Lowest in the region, even though it's the highest population density in the area. 5 new listings this week. Big drop off from the prior week where there was 18. 13 homes have gone under contract in the past week, slightly up from the 10 in the prior week. And 36 homes have gone under contract in the past 30 days, which is the highest in the region. Days on market average, only 14 days with a 0.2 month supply of inventory. Lowest price home sold was $185,000 with a high of $505,000. Highest active home for sale is $689,000 with a median price of $323,000. Now get this. Their month supply of inventory with their low days on market average. That means by the time you list that house, before you see it on the internet, it's probably already sold.
Yep.
What are you seeing out there, Christin?
I'm seeing exactly that. I'm working with some buyers who are sending me homes that they want to see, and we are having to go out like day of to go see them. Otherwise, they are already marked contingent by the time they are available to go see them a few days later. Yep,
that's happening. We had a listing we went live with 2 weeks ago, and it was in the Country Walk area of Round Lake Beach.
Mm-hmm.
We went live Thursday afternoon around 5 o'clock. We were going to start showings Monday. So we didn't allow any showings on Thursday. We had 2 offers before anyone showed the property.
Wow.
Yep.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yep.
I've got a listing coming up in the Round Lake area in the next week or so, and I'm not sure they're prepared for how quickly that process really can move.
People really aren't, and they I don't think they really grasp how.
And it's not from us not telling them.
I know. It was
we tell them, but
be prepared. Start packing.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
As soon as you sign the listing agreement, start packing.
Mm-hmm.
And what about you, Sly? What are you seeing out there on the starts?
Same thing. Buyers just having a really difficult time getting offers accepted. FHA getting beat up by conventional. It's the same story as we've been kind of talking about. I mean, it's just a really tough, cutthroat market. Yeah, you better be ready to go look at it the day it hits the market because there's likely a good chance it won't be there the next day. Yeah. So definitely seeing that.
It's kind of fun to be a part of, though. It's all so fast paced.
Explain.
Why it's fun to be a part of it? It's just it's. So when I got into this business, a big reason that I was drawn to it was the fact that not every day is the same thing. You know, I'm not a person who enjoys the Monday through Friday, just kind of knowing what to expect every day. So it's really fun to be a part of this process of like seeing something hit the market, getting that notification, immediately talking to my client, being like, "Are you ready now? Let's go. Hop in the car. Come on." You know, it's fun. It's exciting.
I know the general rule of thumb is back in the day, you know, your clients would say, hey, here's 7, 8, 9, 10 properties I want to see. And then you put together the map and on the weekend,
you Saturday.
See you Saturday. Yep. That doesn't exist anymore. Now we're training buyers. The minute you get that email, 20,000 other people got that email. So if you like that house, call me. I'm throwing my kid on the ground and jumping in the car and we're going to go show that house.
Yeah.
Because time is your best friend.
Right.
If you can get out there quick, come in with a strong offer, you got a chance. But if you take your time, not only is there, not only are you not showing how aggressive you're willing to be, but you're also opening the window open for more buyers to come in and therefore drive those prices up.
Right.
And that's ultimately what's causing these outrageous spikes in home prices.
The other cool thing I'm seeing, which people are starting to get it, you know, I've been working with some buyers that have been at it for a long time and they just keep getting beat because they want to, throw in we'll just offer list price or we want to come in $5,000 below or whatever. And that hasn't worked thus far. And I think people are starting to kind of realize the market we're in, you have to come in with your best foot forward right off the bat. I mean, if you want any shot at trying to get that offer accepted, you better come in strong.
I agree with that. I am seeing a certain level of, I said this last week too, a certain level of acceptance that I'm starting to notice from
it's a new norm.
From buyers. Yeah, for sure.
Now, what's weird is
the week before Memorial Day, and the week after Memorial Day. There was this weird lull where properties were not flying off the market and prices weren't soaring to crazy highs. And so I started to think, maybe we're starting to see a little bit of a relaxation where buyers are going to have an opportunity. But the next week, wow.
We talked about that, though. I think it was attributed to all the graduations, kids getting out of school. People just took like a little bit of a break. So if you were ready to go during then that goes to show you how precise you have to be in this market, because you missed out. If you didn't hit it, that time would have been the perfect time to get in there because your competition was way less.
That's a brilliant point, and it's what we tell clients all the time, especially on the seller side. When's the best time to sell? I'll tell you when I see it.
Yeah.
Yes, there's generalized averages, but the real market happens day by day.
Right.
And what price we're going to go out at, I can tell you your house can sell for $400,000 today. In 2 weeks, it might be $420,000. Or it might be $380,000.
Right.
It all depends on what the competition is. And right now, where buyers are forgiving because they want that house more than they want perfection. What's that saying? Never let perfection be the enemy of the good. That's what successful buyers are doing.
Right.
They're taking the house, figuring out, well, what can I do with that house? At least it's a house, and I can stop looking. I've seen buyers on the market 3 years right now.
Yeah.
Totally.
Because they're trying to find perfection in an affordable fashion. But, those homes are up 20-25% since they started looking.
And you know what? If you're in a place to be able to wait for exactly the thing that you want and you'll know it when you see it, great. I love that for you. It's just not everyone's circumstances.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily the smartest move.
Yeah, I think, and just to reiterate, kind of what this is becoming the new norm, right? Like, let's be real. Like, rates aren't going to be 3% next month,
right?
Maybe
we talked
a couple
about it
years
before. That was the historic event.
In 2 months? In 2 months, it'll be.
We'll see, but it's just not happening right now, and prices are not coming down. And when the rates do come down, don't you think that's going to bring a whole bunch of new buyers to the market? That's going to drive the prices possibly up even more?
Yes,
I don't know.
But there's another side to that coin, because it's also going to bring more sellers to the market.
Sure.
Because once that golden handcuff thing goes
It's
away,
released.
then we're going to see a little bit more inventory. But they'll be looking for new houses too.
Yeah.
Right.
So they'll be, even though they're adding inventory, we're also adding buyers to the market when that happens. So I think
it'll
we're
be
at
interesting to see.
catch-22.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how this pans out as rates hopefully come down here in the near future, and we'll have to keep a close eye on it and keep our listeners informed.
Yeah.
What are the factors that have created the lack of inventory?
Primarily, what we're seeing is that anyone who's in on a 2 or 3% mortgage staying put. They don't want to give that up and risk having to go 7-8% right now, and it makes sense.
Totally.
The past couple of years, even before the rates popped up, sellers were sitting on the sidelines because they didn't have any inventory. And that stemmed from COVID. So COVID kind of started this whole weird process that led to sellers not necessarily selling because they were afraid. Buyers still needed to buy, so it created this inventory crunch. Then sellers were afraid to sell because there wasn't any inventory. So if I sell, what if I can't buy?
Right.
We heard stories about that happened in California where sellers were squatting literally in their own homes that they sold because they had no place to buy.
Oh my goodness.
And then the interest rates shot up. And now sellers are like, I don't want to give up my rate.
Right.
I wouldn't sell right now to give up my rate. But if I had to sell and I had to move or I needed a bigger place, you've got no choice.
Yeah.
And that's what's creating the buyers that we have right now. We're seeing a lot of buyers coming in from out of area and out of state. So we're seeing New York, we're seeing California, we're seeing Chicago coming into the area more so than we have in the past.
And even on a level, even maybe a little bit longer ago than that, is the lack of new builds in our area.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, in Florida, Lennar is putting up subdivisions everywhere you look. In fact, on the beach one day, so it would have been on Saturday, there's an airplane flying with like a tagline behind it, an advertisement. We're looking down the beach. We're like, oh, I wonder what this, usually it's, some bar or Ron John surf shop or something like. No, it was Lennar's homes for sale in the mid 200s. They literally are flying an advertisement on the beach behind an airplane. They're putting up houses everywhere. Here, that's not the case. I think the construction costs, the material labor costs here are just so much more.
And the regulations,
absolutely. So they're not. We're simply. At least in Illinois, they're not building enough homes to meet that demand. And the ones they are building are selling like hotcakes.
I don't know if you guys saw this, but the Forest Preserve announced that they're going to be going for a referendum this year to buy more land. They want to borrow an additional $155 million to acquire more land, do more habitat restoration. And the last time they did that was 2008, and the public approved, with about 60% margin, they approved a $185 million acquisition plan. But that was in 2008, and that was when prices were really, really starting to decline, and most of that money they had to spend went to buy cheaper properties that were being progressively cheaper. Now they're asking for money to do this, while property costs, land costs, is the highest it's ever been in this area. So I can't imagine how much more they're going to buy. But I look at these numbers. The current debt service for the Forest Preserve is 42% of their tax revenues. So they pay in principal and interest payments 42% of their tax revenues. So for every $1 million they tax, $420,000 is being spent to just cover old debt.
Wow.
I love the Forest Preserve. Obviously, I was a Forest Preserve commissioner. I love the parks. I love the trails.
Sure.
But I don't know if now is the right time to be taking land away from developers.
Right.
Because that's the only thing that's going to make housing affordable, is if we can start building some more housing, residential development. I'm not saying we need to create a city out of here, but there's some unique ways to develop residential, maybe mixed-use commercial residential opportunities. And if we start having our governments compete for that land, that's going to drive the value of that land up and the price.
Right, absolutely.
So I don't care which way people vote. I have my opinions. I don't think now's the right time.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, you buy low and sell high, right? Not buy at the top. I mean, but
except the Forest Preserve could never sell.
Well, that's true, and they just come up with the more money all the time, and figure it out later.
Yeah, but we'll get more into that as we get closer to Election Day, and have people from both sides to give why we should, why we shouldn't, so people can be informed.
You diving deep into a referendum? Never heard of that.
Never.
The people appreciate it, though.
Yeah, some, except the people who who lost the
you can't please everybody.
Who lost the election.
Yeah,
that one was silly. I'm sorry. They were when the library wants to ask people to more than double their current tax bill. There's no way that was going to happen, and that was before the tax bills went up this year. Oof. So I don't see it. I don't even think they'll probably try and go for it again.
You don't think so?
No, not with another referendum on the ballot. And presidential elections, it's hard to get referendums passed because there's so many voters. And when it's mass exposure of voters, the easiest way to get a referendum passed is when no one cares and they're sitting home. Like, okay, the fire department wants 30 extra cents, or the library wants $15. I'm not going to get out and vote for it. I don't care.
Yeah.
But on a presidential election where 75% of the people will be voting, everyone's coming out and everyone's going to have an opinion.
Yeah.
That's why most consultants will tell governing taxing bodies to wait for a mid-year election or wait for a consolidated spring election when only 14% of people come out.
Yeah,
because then it's easy to whip up your base.
Yeah.
Anyway, as promised, since we're talking about all these things that are making real estate harder, Christin and I are going to talk on our spotlight session about common mistakes to avoid in real estate. You wanna take this, Christin?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to start with one of the first mistakes that we see, and I'm sure Sly is just going to implode upon hearing this one because it's so true. Number one mistake that I see specifically buyers making when getting into real estate journey is not getting pre-approved for a mortgage before looking at homes. Sly, do you want to chime in on why?
Yeah, I can't even express how important it is to not only get pre-approved, but get pre-approved by someone that A, knows what they're doing, B, is extremely thorough, and makes you even maybe a little bit uncomfortable. Like, they should be asking you so many questions about your finances and digging so deep that you feel like, wow, okay, this person knows all of my business now. They should. They should,
because there should be no surprises once you are in the transaction mode of you found a house, you're moving forward, you're getting towards your closing date. You don't want any surprises.
Yeah, so we, my team.
So the best lender is a proctologist.
Sometimes
financial proctologist.
Yeah, my team regularly, and we'll come across situations where someone had been pre-approved and they're now under contract and they get denied. And it's like, well, did your lender ask you this? Did they ask you that? Did they run your file through automated underwriting? Did they verify? Well, no, I just told them. Well, did you tell them you're on a 1099 and not a W-2 and you just started this 6 months ago? Well, no, they never asked. You got to make sure. And then even worse is there are actually lenders, including some local credit unions, where you could go online and plug in information into just their system and it'll spit out a pre-approval letter without anything being verified. Wow. And it's terrifying that, that happens, and those are the deals that usually end up being unsuccessful. And then, they get denied, and it's like they come and we have to figure out, okay, can you get a cosigner? Can we do this? Can we have this program, that program? So yeah, imperative that you work with a good local reputable lender that knows what they're doing, and they ask you everything about obviously they have to run your credit. They ask you to verify your income. They ask about your assets, and they just do dig really deep.
Absolutely. And so even on its more surface level reasoning behind that, also, it's just going to help you find what your price goal is.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you're just looking and you kind of have your own idea of what your price goals are going to be when you're looking at homes, there are a lot of factors that you may not be taking into consideration, right? And then on top of it, you don't know what you're going to be approved for. So if you're not pre-approved and you think that you have a certain number in mind that you think you can handle per month, that may not necessarily match up with what you're going to be approved for. And that could be in either direction. You could be capping yourself and not looking at nicer homes because you think you won't be able to afford them, when in reality you could sit down with a lender and you could find out that you're actually going to be approved for more than you thought, and that the monthly payments may look different than you imagined. And also, of course, on the flip side of things, you can greatly disappoint yourself by looking at a home, falling in love with it, assuming that you'd get approved for it, and then going to get approved for your mortgage and finding out that you actually can't obtain a mortgage for that loan amount.
And one other thing that we come across regularly, and it's if you're working, and if you just go online and fill out a form and you get a lender out of California or somewhere else, and they tell you you're good up to, let's say, $300,000. So that's fine and dandy. But yeah, the taxes, they don't know what's going on here in Illinois with our 2.5-3% taxes. I regularly see people say, oh, I could afford a $300,000 house. And I run it and I'm like, you're at $250 max. Well, no, this guy said this. I said, well, what did they use for the taxes? Well, 1%. 1% is $3,000 on $300.
In California,
where are you going to find that? You're not going to find that here. Our taxes are going to be $9,000, $10,000, $12,000 on a $300,000 house. That all has to get factored in there. So when we do our pre-approvals, and most of the local lenders here that know what they're doing, I don't tell somebody you're good up to $300,000. I say you're good up to $2,000 a month.
Yeah.
If we can make that $300,000 work with your down payment and the taxes, I'm happy to help anytime. I could be reached anytime. Text me the address. I'll run it through real quick and make sure that payment is where you need it to be, because it's also certain areas. If you're buying in Wisconsin, or if you're buying in, out in Spring Grove, or the taxes,
unincorporated versus incorporated.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be like the taxes in Grays Lake, where it's 3.5%. So, so that's the thing. Work with somebody that's giving you accurate information and setting you up for success.
Yeah, and again, it's the number one mistake that I see people make. And also, we were talking about the speed at which the market moves. Not getting pre-approved before you start looking at houses isn't in your best interest either, because it takes some time to get a real, actual, verified pre-approval, and that house is going to be gone before you can even submit your offer.
Yeah, this is good, guys. And I was going to try and squeeze all this into the 15 minutes, but I think it's worthy to keep going after the break.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a break right now. We're going to come back with more great ways to help you compete in today's market. We'll be right back.
Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr will return in just a few moments after these important messages. Don't touch that dial.
Support for Unlocking Lake County is provided by Fidelity National Title Insurance Company, offering title insurance and real estate services. With origins tracing back over 150 years, Fidelity National Title facilitates secure closing processes for buyers, sellers, and real estate professionals. Anyone looking for more information can find them on the web at www.fntic.com. Fidelity National Title has offices located all throughout Lake and McHenry counties.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
You guys have a great radio station. You just play the best music.
Support for Unlocking Lake County is provided by Harder & Shotland Law Firm, offering legal services across various areas including criminal defense, real estate, family law, and more. Harder & Shotland is committed to addressing the legal needs of individuals and businesses with a focus on thorough and knowledgeable representation. Information on Harder & Shotland Law Firm can be found at hardershotland.com or by visiting their office at 625 West Rollins Road in Round Lake Beach. They can also be reached at 847-546-0022.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
Unlocking Lake County.
98.3 The Life.
It's the best station on the radio.
Support for Unlocking Lake County comes from the Sly Marinca team at Cross Country Mortgage, specializing in a range of mortgage solutions tailored to meet the needs of homebuyers and homeowners. With a focus on delivering efficient and knowledgeable service, the Sly Marinca team is dedicated to facilitating a smooth mortgage process. Their office is located at 532 Lake Street, Suite A in Antioch, Illinois. They can also be reached at sly@ccm.com or by phone at 847-722-1775.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County.
Unlocking Lake County
with Dick Barr. 98.3 The Life.
Support for Unlocking Lake County comes from the Dick Barr Group at Village Realty, offering both residential and commercial real estate services across northeastern Illinois. Find us at our office located at 1915 East Grand Avenue in Lindenhurst, or visit us online at www.dickbarr.com. For a personal real estate experience, they can also be reached at 847-579-9736. At the Dick Barr Group, your property goals are their mission.
This is Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
Support for Unlocking Lake County is provided by Fidelity National Title Insurance Company, offering title insurance and real estate services. With origins tracing back over 150 years, Fidelity National Title facilitates secure closing processes for buyers, sellers, and real estate professionals. Anyone looking for more information can find them on the web at www.fntic.com. Fidelity National Title has offices located all throughout Lake and McHenry counties.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
Your favorite show right here on 98.3 FM.
98.3 The Life.
Support for Unlocking Lake County is provided by Harder & Shotland Law Firm, offering legal services across various areas including criminal defense, real estate, family law, and more. Harder & Shotland is committed to addressing the legal needs of individuals and businesses with a focus on thorough and knowledgeable representation. Information on Harder & Shotland Law Firm can be found at hardershotland.com or by visiting their office at 625 West Rollins Road in Round Lake Beach. They can also be reached at 847-546-0022.
Unlocking Lake County.
98.3 The Life.
Support for Unlocking Lake County is provided by Harder & Shotland Law Firm, offering legal services across various areas including criminal defense, real estate, family law, and more. Harder & Shotland is committed to addressing the legal needs of individuals and businesses with a focus on thorough and knowledgeable representation. Information on Harder & Shotland Law Firm can be found at hardershotland.com or by visiting their office at 625 West Rollins Road in Round Lake Beach. They can also be reached at 847-546-0022.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
You guys have a great radio station. You just play the best music.
Support for Unlocking Lake County comes from the Sly Marinca team at Cross Country Mortgage, specializing in a range of mortgage solutions tailored to meet the needs of homebuyers and homeowners. With a focus on delivering efficient and knowledgeable service, the Sly Marinca team is dedicated to facilitating a smooth mortgage process. Their office is located at 532 Lake Street, Suite A in Antioch, Illinois. They can also be reached at sly@ccm.com or by phone at 847-722-1775.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
Unlocking Lake County.
98.3 The Life.
It's the best station on the radio.
Support for Unlocking Lake County comes from the Dick Barr Group at Village Realty, offering both residential and commercial real estate services across northeastern Illinois. Find us at our office located at 1915 East Grand Avenue in Lindenhurst, or visit us online at www.dickbarr.com. For a personal real estate experience, they can also be reached at 847-579-9736. At the Dick Barr Group, your property goals are their mission.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County
Unlocking Lake County.
with Dick Barr. 98.3 The Life.
Support for Unlocking Lake County is provided by Fidelity National Title Insurance Company, offering title insurance and real estate services. With origins tracing back over 150 years, Fidelity National Title facilitates secure closing processes for buyers, sellers, and real estate professionals. Anyone looking for more information can find them on the web at www.fntic.com. Fidelity National Title has offices located all throughout Lake and McHenry counties.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
You guys have a great radio station. You just play the best music.
Support for Unlocking Lake County is provided by Harder and Shotland Law Firm, offering legal services across various areas including criminal defense, real estate, family law, and more. Harder and Shotland is committed to addressing the legal needs of individuals and businesses with a focus on thorough and knowledgeable representation. Information on Harder and Shotland Law Firm can be found at hardershotland.com or by visiting their office at 625 West Rollins Road in Round Lake Beach. They can also be reached at 847-546-0022.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
Unlocking Lake County.
98.3 The Life.
It's the best station on the radio.
Support for Unlocking Lake County comes from the Sly Marinca team at Cross Country Mortgage, specializing in a range of mortgage solutions tailored to meet the needs of homebuyers and homeowners. With a focus on delivering efficient and knowledgeable service, the Sly Marinca team is dedicated to facilitating a smooth mortgage process. Their office is located at 532 Lake Street, Suite A in Antioch, Illinois. They can also be reached at sly@ccm.com or by phone at 847-722-1775.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County
Unlocking Lake County.
with Dick Barr. 98.3 The Life.
Support for Unlocking Lake County comes from the Dick Barr Group at Village Realty, offering both residential and commercial real estate services across northeastern Illinois. Find us at our office located at 1915 East Grand Avenue in Lindenhurst, or visit us
On
on
98.3 FM.
98.3 The Life.
Welcome back to Unlocking Lake County with your host, Dick Barr.
Welcome back, Northwest Lake County. Thanks for joining us. This is Dick Barr, your host of Unlocking Lake County, here with the lovely Christin Kaufman. Say hello.
Welcome back, everyone.
And mortgage guru Sly Marinca.
Hello, everybody.
And Dan, the insurance man, Dan Weier. Say hello.
Hello there.
Excellent. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Before the break, we started on... Actually, you know what? We're going to come back to this. I want Sly to do the Mortgage Minute. Are you ready, Sly?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, you weren't here last week. People are itching.
Yeah, so
Okay.
there's
I
like,
wanna know.
I'm sure a lot of new information to talk about. And I gave Sly an assignment while he was away. On his vacation, he was required to constantly research all mortgage activity and everything that happens in the Fed and report back to me with any major changes. And luckily he didn't. And
Yes.
I'm assuming that's because he did his job of research, and there was just nothing to talk about.
Nothing to talk about until today.
Until today.
Here is the Mortgage Minute with Sly Marinca and Cross Country Mortgage on Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
All right, everybody. So in the last couple of weeks, things have changed a little bit. Not super drastic, but we've seen the national average for the 30-year fixed mortgage come down to 7.02%. A couple of weeks ago, it was about 7.19%. And if you remember, at the end, middle to the end of May, it was, pushing 7.5%. So it has come down quite a bit. And part of the reason for that is we've seen the 10-year Treasury yield come down from a high of 4.62% at the end of May to 4.219%. So that's a pretty big drop in a relatively short amount of time. And if we really look at the numbers and why this is happening, it's really looking like things are slowing down in the economy. The retail sales numbers that came out for the month of May missed significantly. It was way less than expected. It was a 0.1% increase when 0.2% was expected. So that's half. And then some negative revisions on jobs numbers. That's been the biggest one. I don't know if you guys remember in January, February, and even last year, 300,000 new jobs created, 400,000 new jobs created. That has all been revised to the tune of, listen to this, for the fourth quarter, the Bureau of Labor Statistics during that time estimated that 673,000 new jobs were created in a 3-month stretch. That today has been revised down to 116,000 jobs only.
Goodness.
So if you want to talk about a miss, like
A little bit of a miss
if we were
there.
that inaccurate in our jobs, we would not have jobs.
We would not. My goodness.
So, but
Ma'am, you can get $47 million for your house. Well, it looks like you could actually get $30.
it's insane. So all of that has been revised downward. So there's now, I think we're going to start seeing some pressure on the Fed to start cutting rates. So in their last meeting, they did comment that they are starting to make a little bit more headway on inflation, and that inflation has slowed down a little bit, but not enough to start the rate drops.
UK, I think they're sitting at like 2.2%. They've come down drastically. They were higher than us. They had 11% inflation at one point, and whatever they've done, they're down to like 2.2. They've done a good job.
I think people are, look at the retail sales numbers. People are just, they don't have the money to spend. And, our economy is driven on spending and people don't have the extra funds. Everyone's kind of tapped out from what I'm seeing with the higher costs of housing, food, transportation, energy. I'm afraid to get my, with these 90-degree days, I'm afraid to see what my electric bill is going to be next month. So yeah, I think
Have
things.
you thought about solar?
I made that joke earlier.
Oh, did you?
At home, I did. Yeah.
Now is the only time I would think about solar for these 2 months where it's 90 degrees out. But
for those of you who are listening for the first time, maybe don't get the inside joke, is we had a whole show about how the solar salespeople are advertising. Yeah, it'll increase the value of your house, solar lease, and it's anything but. Anyway, that was an inside joke. Back to Sly.
Yeah, no, so that's kind of where we're at with it. Rates are getting a little bit better, improving. Hopefully next week or the next few weeks, we'll see them dip below 7%. I think that would be nice. And if that continues, everything we've been talking about, that golden handcuff going away, I think that's when we're really going to see things open up in real estate. We're going to get more sellers willing to sell and more buyers coming to market. And
what do you think the magic number is?
It's got to be, I think a 5.
I think 5 too.
Yeah,
a 5 point something.
Yeah, 5.9,
yes, but 5 something.
5 something.
Yeah.
Historically, anything less than 7 is considered good.
Right.
But I still think just because so many people are, I did hundreds of loans in the 2s. Yeah. I don't think 6 is enough, right? I think we got to see 5, 5.9, 5.8 before things get really rocking.
And the reason I agree with you is because there are a lot of people who were already at 4 or 5 who just didn't bother refinancing when the rates went really low. They didn't take advantage of the opportunity. Why? Because they don't have professionals professionals in their life that guided them to say, hey, you might consider doing this right now.
Right.
But anyway, so there are a lot of loans sitting at the 4s and 5s, and I think the 5s will help let that go. It'd be interesting to see what happens to inventory and pricing once sellers start selling.
Yeah. And then, but that's also, I think, what's going to be the catalyst of, I mean, let's face it, if you could save 1% on your mortgage, that's putting, or even 2% if you're at 7.5 and it goes to 5.5.
Yeah.
On a $250,000 loan, that's $400-something a month that you are now putting back in your pocket, putting back towards other things. So I think that's also going to help.
Buying weed with it.
Whatever you do, man.
Just kidding. I don't advocate.
$400 or $500 a month. I mean, that's significant savings. Where people can start putting that money to work for them or to other areas. So it's interesting. We'll keep you obviously in the loop. I monitor these things very, very closely, even on vacation. So I'm always, every morning I get up at the crack of dawn, my family still sleeps, and I get on my phone and I do my daily, routine on my phone and make sure that, I'm in the loop in case the phone rings, I can answer. And even on vacation, I answer the phone when it rings. So
yeah, I know it's a testament to your work ethic. And I would never intentionally bother you on your trip, but
never a bother.
A lot of people have your number and they'll
never
pick
a bother.
it. And Sly always answers.
Yes. So.
Yeah. Speaking about the solar inside joke, actually, I have to share a really quick story about that, and then we can get back to the common mistakes that we see clients make in real estate. But so last week, actually, while I was here doing the show, it turns out that a solar salesperson had showed up at my house, and my husband was there. And he was getting that same spiel that we hear everyone get all the time. Well, it's going to increase the value of your home. And my husband went, so my wife's a realtor, so I know better than to believe that line. And the salesperson went, oh, got it. All right, well, have a good day. Like, they even know that it's not. They know that it's not.
Right.
That it's not the reality. And as soon as he was told that, my husband couldn't wait to tell me that story when I got home.
That's a win.
Yeah.
Sorry, that went on longer than I expected.
Yeah, I just had to share that, though. I just thought that was so funny. Like, oh, all right, well, never mind then. You got me.
So there you go. If the solar people come to your house and they tell you that, just tell them your spouse is a realtor.
Yeah.
And they'll walk away.
Or just put a sign, realtor lives here.
Yeah. I should do that anyway.
Right.
It's like their kryptonite. You got anything else, Sly?
That'll be it for this week. We'll look at the numbers again next week and keep monitoring and keep everybody in the loop.
Okay, beautiful. You want to keep going, Christin, on the common mistakes to avoid?
Absolutely. So the first mistake that we had touched on was just not getting pre-approved for a mortgage before starting to shop for homes. Moving on, the next thing on the list that we see, and we're definitely going to talk about this next week, so be sure to tune in, skipping a home inspection. I would never recommend a client do that when they are getting their house. You don't know what is going on behind the scenes in a home. And so skipping the home inspection is, honestly, in my opinion, one of the biggest mistakes you can possibly make when buying a house. I've
got a client right now who is trying to purchase, but he knows how competitive the market is, and he's trying to make his offer as competitive as possible. And actually, I had two in the past week because of how competitive it is.
Yeah.
Both of their offers waived inspection. And what I did, I said, listen, you really should inspect. And their responses both were, I'm willing to accept the probability of what could come because it's very important that I get my offer as powerful as possible. I made them both sign waivers saying, listen, I was advised to get an inspection, but I can't force a client to get an inspection, but I strongly recommend, because there's so much behind the scenes that you don't know.
Right.
There was this happened several years ago where it was known that in a neighborhood that a certain electric panel was prone to causing fires.
Oh, geez.
And as it turned out, they had an inspector. This one is a case where they had the inspector, and he found that this particular brand was the one prone to causing fires, and they were able to advise him, say, "Hey, listen, this is a problem. It needs to be repaired." And so they got taken care of. That's a success story.
Yeah.
But there were other people in that neighborhood who, before it was known, were having fires in their houses because of the electric panels. So those types of things are really why it's important. And, there's some aspects of what an inspector does, like when an inspector says, well, the dishwasher doesn't work or the garbage disposal doesn't work.
Sure.
Yeah, you don't care that much about that.
Yeah.
You care about foundation issues. You care about roof issues, material defects. Mold's kind of easy to remedy.
We still care to find it.
Yeah, you care to find it, absolutely. But most people don't mold test. They just do a visual inspection.
Sure, of
most
course.
people. Back in the day, like in the 2005, 6, 7, 8.
When black mold was the
Black mold was the
you're
bad
gonna
word.
die.
Yeah, we've gotten to the point in our industry where we don't even have a standard mold disclosure form anymore.
Right.
They scrapped that 5, 6, 7 years ago. And where it used to be people were afraid of mold because it was $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 remediation.
Yeah.
$700.
Yeah.
If that now,
they go up there. The remediators love it because they go up there, they spray some, the whatever you call fungicide or disinfectant, and then they encapsulate it, then paint it, and it's done.
Yeah.
Right? It comes with a warranty too.
Yeah.
Okay, what else we got?
So another mistake that we see people making is ignoring market conditions. Now, when I say that, no one expects you, the client, to know what the market conditions are. However, not consulting with professionals who do understand the current market conditions is absolutely a big mistake that you could be making. You'll hear me say it all the time. The best time to buy a house is when you need a house. Best time to sell your house is if you need to sell your house, right? And that is still always going to be technically true. However, there are always going to be more and less optimal times throughout the year, throughout the month, like we were talking about earlier in this episode. Sometimes even just within the couple of weeks, we can give you that insight of like, you know what, right now things have slowed down these last couple of days. Let's get in there while we can. So ignoring some of those market conditions, if your goal is to get the best deal possible and your goal isn't centered around your personal timeline needs, that is a huge mistake people can be making.
Yeah, no, agree 100%. Because we are a little bit tight on time, let's go on to the next one about the hidden costs.
Yeah, absolutely. So overlooking hidden costs is another thing that can really mess with your entire transaction process. Not budgeting for closing costs, moving expenses, and ongoing maintenance can lead to financial surprises. I always tell people, make sure that you have money set aside that you don't plan on needing just for inspections alone when you're buying houses, because it was definitely an unexpected cost for me when I was a first-time home buyer, and no one gave me that information. Yeah. No one told me, make sure you've got, $1,500 to $2,000 set aside just for home inspections. And I'm so glad that we did end up having a little bit of extra money set aside because we were in a lower price budget range, and we had looked at a couple of houses that, thank goodness, we had the inspection done because there were a lot of structural issues wrong with those homes. And so even though it felt a little bit like money wasted, right? Like we spent $500 to not buy a home, we spent $500 to not buy a money pit.
Right.
Yeah.
So that is definitely something that you want to take into consideration, is just some of those hidden costs that go into buying a home, for sure.
And speaking of inspections, next week we're going to have Eric Yost from My Guy Home Inspections in to talk about the process and everything.
For that.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, speaking of costs, because one of the big costs to now consider in purchasing real estate, something that's more of an issue than it was in the past, we have Dan Weier from the Dan Weier Agency in to talk about insurance and what's happening with rates. Maybe some insight into, I'm going to ask him some insight into why the rates are climbing, and then if there's any relief for the weary. So Dan, do you want to talk briefly about kind of insurance and as it relates to the home purchase process?
Sure. Well, I was thinking as Sly was talking about, pre-qualification and all that. Of course, in times past, you would look at, principal and interest cost and taxes cost, which is high in Lake County, of course. And insurance was just the smallest piece of the pie. Yeah. Unfortunately, that is changing now, and I'm sure it is putting pressure on qualifying and ratios and all that. So it is probably important, too, as you are looking at a home, to have an idea of what the homeowner's insurance is going to cost.
Because it can greatly affect your monthly payment nowadays.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. We used to be able to estimate. Well, figure $100 a month for
$100 a month forever.
$100 a month for
forever.
Right? And then for like a decade at least, it was like $100 a month. And now some buyers are coming back like, oh my God, this was my quote, and it completely changes their debt to income ratios.
Definitely.
Yeah. So when we talk about getting these answers done done timely in advance, do that in advance.
Yeah.
Talk to your insurance guy sooner than later. Don't wait to the last minute and then find out you're screwed. You can't get that house anymore. Okay. Christin, next one.
So moving on from...
How about number 7?
Yeah, absolutely. So making large purchases, making large purchases before closing. So for anybody who doesn't know
Sly just died a little bit inside.
For anyone who doesn't know what closing is, which is a surprising term that actually a lot of people don't know. So the closing date is like the day you are actually exchanging money, keys. It's your house now. So being under contract is different than closing, right? So during that time, you found a house, you're under contract, you're doing all of the things to get into your house, but you're not there yet. You have not bought the house yet. You do not have the keys. You do not own it. You are going out and you are buying a car, or you are putting a vacation
Furniture
on your credit card. You're buying furniture. You're
Home Depot, lawnmower,
absolutely.
all that.
Buying all of the things for your house that you haven't moved into yet. And those large purchases can and sometimes do affect being able to actually close. Sly, you want to touch on why that is?
So best case scenario when you do something like that is it can delay your closing because we have to re-verify everything, right? So we have when we don't just pull your credit at the beginning. We run what's called an undisclosed debt notification service that literally monitors your credit. We're not pulling it over and over again, but if they see more than a 10% increase on any of your revolving trade lines, if they see any new credit pulls, it notifies us. And us as a lender, we're required to verify that.
And why is that?
Because we have to make sure your debt to income, you still qualify for the mortgage. We have to make sure that your debt to income ratios are still in line. So let's say you go and people go to Home Depot and they, like I said, buy a riding lawnmower and buy the snowblower and this and that before closing, and we notice that their credit was ran. We then now have to see what you bought. So you have to get your bill, get me your billing statement, show me. I have to add that to your credit, and we have to recalculate based on the minimum payment. Not the end of the world, but if you do that 2 days before your closing, we may have to say, look, we can't close until this is done. It's rare that happens, but I have had that happen before. Worst case scenario, you now don't qualify. I've literally had people, I decided to buy a new truck last weekend. They were, it was the December to remember sales event or whatever. And, I had to get this truck. And it's like, bro, now your payment, you just added a $700 a month payment. You were already at a 47% debt to income ratio.
All the truck owners right now are like, I wish I had a $700 payment on my truck.
So, you got to just don't, it's what's your priority? Do you want a house to live in, or do you want a new truck, or do you want
you might be able to live in the new truck.
No,
if that's what you want, then go for it.
Now, for anyone who's curious while listening to this, what general number would you say would start to qualify as like a large purchase?
Well, it depends on
depends on the person.
Yeah,
right?
It depends on the person,
Okay.
right? So so from like the credit card standpoint, so let's say you have a credit card with a $5,000 maximum on it. If you increase the balance by more than 10%, that we get a notification of that.
Okay, so it's less about a dollar amount and more about a percentage amount.
Correct.
So realistically, what I'm hearing is when you are in the transition process period of waiting to close, okay,
yes.
You have not bought the house yet. Consult your
Call
mortgage
your lender.
Consult
Yes.
with your lender before you make any large purchases, just to make sure that that's okay for you to do
Yes.
and that you won't get dinged for it.
I tell people all the time, go for it. You're good. We have enough time. Your closing is 30 days out. Plenty of time for us to re-verify it. If you want to get that 0% at Ashley Furniture, and no problem. You qualify for it. But at least you checked.
Yeah.
But I tell people too, like the ones that are a little tight and, they're kind of maxing out. I tell them, no, don't do it. You're not going to be able to qualify.
Sly,
just call your lender.
Do you re-verify after clear to close is issued?
So we don't re-verify at all. We just run that undisclosed debt notification up until the day of closing. So I guess to answer your question is if we get the clear to close 2 weeks before the closing, that product is still turned on. Yep. So we'll still get a notification if they have their credit ran.
So I want the listeners to understand what that could mean. So when you're in contract to buy a house, you use a mortgage contingency that says if your loan is denied, then you can get out of the contract and get your earnest money back. Mm-hmm. But if you've already gotten a clear to close, and you've waived your mortgage contingency, and now you go buy furniture, and now the lender won't loan you the money. Now, not only can you not buy that house, you're also losing your earnest money because you already waived the contingency.
That's such a good point. I hadn't even considered that. Yeah, absolutely. And for anyone who's listening and wondering why this is, right, it's not because the mortgage lenders are the man and they're just like hovering over your finances just because they want to know.
Fly's a man.
But not the man, you know.
Hey.
You're the man, Sly.
Just kidding.
But just so that everyone's clear, Sly, will you just explain like why it is that you guys need to make sure that their that they can afford that monthly payment now that their debt to income ratio has changed?
Yeah, we have very strict guidelines we have to adhere to by the man, right? By Fannie and Freddie, you know, they're the ones that, or if it's an FHA loan or a VA loan, or if it's an investor loan, we are guaranteeing them that we did our due diligence and these people qualified for this loan. If we don't do our due diligence and we don't, you know, do it the right way, they could come back and say, hey, we're not going to buy that loan. And then we're on the hook for it. So it could actually be
a product of the housing market crash?
Not necessarily. It's always been that way.
Oh, okay.
It has to be accurate. You know, like that's our job, is to make sure we're delivering accurate loans that are saleable. It could be from a 49.9% debt to income ratio to a 50.01% debt to income ratio, where it goes from approved to not approved. So we have to just make sure that we are delivering accurate information to our investors, to the government. Otherwise, they won't buy the loan, and we don't. That's not how we operate. We have to be able to transfer that loan to the servicing of that loan, and make sure we have accurate information. So
it's to protect everyone involved, including the consumer, because it's also to make sure that they can continue to afford all of those things that they just took on, the truck and the house.
Absolutely.
Great. Awesome segment, guys. Folks, we'll be right back.
Unlocking Lake County.
Support for Unlocking Lake County is provided by Fidelity National Title Insurance Company, offering title insurance and real estate services. With origins tracing back over 150 years, Fidelity National Title facilitates secure closing processes for buyers, sellers, and real estate professionals. Anyone looking for more information can find them on the web at www.fntic.com. Fidelity National Title has offices located all throughout Lake and McHenry counties.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
You guys have a great radio station. You just play the best music.
Support for Unlocking Lake County is provided by Harder & Shotland Law Firm, offering legal services across various areas including criminal defense, real estate, family law, and more. Harder & Shotland is committed to addressing the legal needs of individuals and businesses with a focus on thorough and knowledgeable representation. Information on Harder & Shotland Law Firm can be found at hardershotland.com or by visiting their office at 625 West Rollins Road in Round Lake Beach. They can also be reached at 847-546-0022.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
Unlocking Lake County.
98.3 The Life.
It's the best station on the radio.
Support for Unlocking Lake County comes from the Sly Marinca team at Cross Country Mortgage, specializing in a range of mortgage solutions tailored to meet the needs of homebuyers and homeowners. With a focus on delivering efficient and knowledgeable service, the Sly Marinca team is dedicated to facilitating a smooth mortgage process. Their office is located at 532 Lake Street, Suite A in Antioch, Illinois. They can also be reached at sly@ccm.com or by phone at 847-722-1775.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County.
Unlocking Lake County
with Dick Barr. 98.3 The Life.
Support for Unlocking Lake County comes from the Dick Barr Group at Village Realty, offering both residential and commercial real estate services across northeastern Illinois. Find us at our office located at 1915 East Grand Avenue in Lindenhurst, or visit us online at www.dickbarr.com. For a personal real estate experience, they can also be reached at 847-579-9736. At the Dick Barr Group, your property goals are their mission.
This is Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
Support for Unlocking Lake County is provided by Fidelity National Title Insurance Company, offering title insurance and real estate services. With origins tracing back over 150 years, Fidelity National Title facilitates secure closing processes for buyers, sellers, and real estate professionals. Anyone looking for more information can find them on the web at www.fntic.com. Fidelity National Title has offices located all throughout Lake and McHenry counties.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
Your favorite show right here on 98.3 FM.
98.3 The Life.
Support for Unlocking Lake County is provided by Harder & Shotland Law Firm, offering legal services across various areas including criminal defense, real estate, family law, and more. Harder & Shotland is committed to addressing the legal needs of individuals and businesses with a focus on thorough and knowledgeable representation. Information on Harder & Shotland Law Firm can be found at hardershotland.com or by visiting their office at 625 West Rollins Road in Round Lake Beach. They can also be reached at 847-546-0022.
Unlocking Lake County.
98.3 The Life.
Support for Unlocking Lake County is provided by Harder & Shotland Law Firm, offering legal services across various areas including criminal defense, real estate, family law, and more. Harder & Shotland is committed to addressing the legal needs of individuals and businesses with a focus on thorough and knowledgeable representation. Information on Harder & Shotland Law Firm can be found at hardershotland.com or by visiting their office at 625 West Rollins Road in Round Lake Beach. They can also be reached at 847-546-0022.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
You guys have a great radio station. You just play the best music.
Support for Unlocking Lake County comes from the Sly Marinca team at Cross Country Mortgage, specializing in a range of mortgage solutions tailored to meet the needs of homebuyers and homeowners. With a focus on delivering efficient and knowledgeable service, the Sly Marinca team is dedicated to facilitating a smooth mortgage process. Their office is located at 532 Lake Street, Suite A in Antioch, Illinois. They can also be reached at sly@ccm.com or by phone at 847-722-1775.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
Unlocking Lake County.
98.3 The Life.
It's the best station on the radio.
Support for Unlocking Lake County comes from the Dick Barr Group at Village Realty, offering both residential and commercial real estate services across northeastern Illinois. Find us at our office located at 1915 East Grand Avenue in Lindenhurst, or visit us online at www.dickbarr.com. For a personal real estate experience, they can also be reached at 847-579-9736. At the Dick Barr Group, your property goals are their mission.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County.
Unlocking Lake County.
With Dick Barr. 98.3 The Life.
Support for Unlocking Lake County is provided by Fidelity National Title Insurance Company, offering title insurance and real estate services. With origins tracing back over 150 years, Fidelity National Title facilitates secure closing processes for buyers, sellers, and real estate professionals. Anyone looking for more information can find them on the web at www.fntic.com. Fidelity National Title has offices located all throughout Lake and McHenry counties.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
You guys have a great radio station. You just play the best music.
Support for Unlocking Lake County is provided by Harder & Shotland Law Firm, offering legal services across various areas including criminal defense, real estate, family law, and more. Harder & Shotland is committed to addressing the legal needs of individuals and businesses with a focus on thorough and knowledgeable representation. Information on Harder & Shotland Law Firm can be found at hardershotland.com or by visiting their office at 625 West Rollins Road in Round Lake Beach. They can also be reached at 847-546-0022.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
Unlocking Lake County.
98.3 The Life.
It's the best station on the radio.
Support for Unlocking Lake County comes from the Sly Marinca team at Cross Country Mortgage, specializing in a range of mortgage solutions tailored to meet the needs of homebuyers and homeowners. With a focus on delivering efficient and knowledgeable service, the Sly Marinca team is dedicated to facilitating a smooth mortgage process. Their office is located at 532 Lake Street, Suite A in Antioch, Illinois. They can also be reached at sly@ccm.com or by phone at 847-722-1775.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County
Unlocking Lake County.
with Dick Barr. 98.3 The Life.
Support for Unlocking Lake County comes from the Dick Barr Group at Village Realty, offering both residential and commercial real estate services across northeastern Illinois. Find us at our office located at 1915 East Grand Avenue in Lindenhurst, or visit us online at www.dickbarr.com. For a personal real estate experience, they can also be reached at 847-579-9736. At the Dick Barr Group, your property goals are their mission.
This is Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
Support for Unlocking Lake County is provided by Fidelity National Title Insurance Company, offering title insurance and real estate services. With origins tracing back over 150 years, Fidelity National Title facilitates secure closing processes for buyers, sellers, and real estate professionals. Anyone looking for more information can find them on the web at www.fntic.com. Fidelity National Title has offices located all throughout Lake and McHenry counties.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
Your favorite show right here on 98.3 FM.
98.3 The Life.
Support for Unlocking Lake County is provided by Harder and Shotland Law Firm, offering legal services across various areas including criminal defense, real estate, family law, and more. Harder and Shotland is committed to addressing the legal needs of individuals and businesses with a focus on thorough and knowledgeable representation. Information on Harder and Shotland Law Firm can be found at hardershotland.com or by visiting their office at 625 West Rollins Road in Round Lake Beach. They can also be reached at 847-546-0022.
Unlocking Lake County.
98.3 The Life.
Support for Unlocking Lake County is provided by Harder and Shotland Law Firm, offering legal services across various areas including criminal defense, real estate, family law, and more. Harder and Shotland is committed to addressing the legal needs of individuals and businesses with a focus on thorough and knowledgeable representation.
Right here on 98.3 FM.
98.3 The Life.
Welcome back to Unlocking Lake County with your host, Dick Barr.
And welcome back for the second hour of Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr. I'm here with Christin Kaufman,
Welcome back, everyone.
Sly Marinca,
Hello, hello.
and our special guest, Dan Weier of the Dan Weier Agency.
Hey, everybody.
Thanks for joining us again. Some great information. Thanks, Christin, for all of that before the second break. There's some really good tips on how to stay safe during a real estate transaction. But this hour, as promised, we're going to get into a conversation with Dan. One of the things that we're starting to see become a bigger issue is insurance costs. So we brought in Dan Weier. He's going to tell us exactly why it is, and he's going to solve that problem for us. So welcome to the show, Dan.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Our pleasure. Thanks for taking the time. I know you're busy. So talk to me. Why are rates... why do rates seem to be skyrocketing right now?
Well, it's a combination of factors. Some of them are inflation related, and it's the lag time of inflation. Inflation impacted everything else first, labor for home repairs, building materials, and so on. And now it's impacting insurance as well because our loss costs, our claims expenses are going way up. It costs more to replace a roof, costs more to replace siding, water remediation, when we have a finished basement. That cost has doubled probably
Really?
in the last 2 or 3 years. Yeah, I used to put, if I had somebody with a finished basement, I would want $10,000 of water backup coverage for their basement. And now, the water remediation probably costs around $6,500, $7,000.
Oh.
And then if I have $10,000 of coverage, I don't have enough money to put somebody's basement back together.
It's interesting. We had a situation, Christin, you were involved in this too,
Yep.
where right before closing, sellers had a backup because of a sump pump that went out. When we had those, the major thaw and the sump pumps, both in 2 houses, it happened where the sump pump died right before closing. And when we calling around for our clients to find a mitigator of the flood damage, they were getting quotes anywhere from $6,000 to $12,000 just for the mitigation, and again, not putting it back together.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's crazy. Now, what about? I've always said I've never used insurance to do like roof or siding repairs, and I know a lot of people do. And there's got to be some level of blame to go to all the ones who did that. No.
Yeah.
Well, yes, but maybe the blame could be more placed on insurance agents or insurance companies educating their clients.
Say more about that. What do you mean?
And the storm chasers who go door to door telling people you've got hail damage. I'll file a claim on your behalf. They cut the agent out. They cut the company out. Claims get filed. They get denied because there's no damage, but the storm chasers don't care. They just want to see what will stick. And if they can get 1 out of 10 or 3 out of 10, they're happy, and they don't really consider the impact of what that does to the clients. But I think my point is, we've been conditioned to not think of a roof as a maintenance issue. A roof lasts 20 years, 25 years, 30 years. A homeowner should be putting money aside for maintenance and repair costs. If your roof is going to last 20 years, you can put $700 aside each year to save for your roof fund. Nobody does that. Everybody waits for the storm. So we've been conditioned to think that roof is an old roof, a worn out roof is a homeowner's claim, not a maintenance issue.
Right. So you're saying we, meaning kind of like society, is like
Society.
Yeah. So they're kind of being led to that trough. Are you seeing more and more insurance companies starting to be stricter on those claims?
I wouldn't say stricter as far as adjusting a claim. By and large, most insurance companies are extremely fair with how they handle claims. They're looking to give you coverage. They're not looking to deny coverage. But they are getting stricter with the homeowner's participation in that claim. In other words, your deductible going up. One thing that I have always been against is the percentage deductibles. You look at a deck page and you see that this person has a 1% deductible or a 2% deductible, and it's not even disclosed. What does that mean? Is it 1% of the claim? No, it's 1% of the dwelling amount. So if your home,
I didn't know that.
If your home is insured for $400,000 and you have a 1% deductible, whether it's for all perils or for wind and hail, you have a $4,000 deductible. 2%, obviously an $8,000 deductible. Your roof is going to be, say, $14,000 in my other example. That's a big percentage of that you're paying out of pocket. And then the other thing that insurance companies are doing to combat this issue is based on the age of the roof. They may cover the roof at actual cash value rather than replacement cost.
Yeah.
Basically they would kind of depreciate.
They would depreciate it.
Yeah.
So you have a 25-year roof. Your roof is 12 years old. They're going to pay 50% of the cost of the roof minus your deductible.
Now talk to me about the dangers of what it means to have a claim denied for a homeowner.
Well, to have a claim denied means you don't get paid on it.
But okay, yeah, no, obviously, right. But what
to
about
have
future risks?
To have an unpaid claim? Well,
because the insurance company still counts it against you, right?
They do. And I would say the thing to be most careful about with unpaid claims, if you call your agent and discuss a claim situation, you can have a conversation with your agent. If you call your insurance company, you call the claims line for your insurance company, and it doesn't matter which company it is, all work the same way. An inquiry, is this covered? I think I might have damage to my roof. Is it covered? Does my homeowner's policy cover water damage because I have a leaky kitchen sink? If you call the company with those questions, you just filed a claim.
Right.
Okay.
And then the claim gets opened, it gets assigned to an adjuster. An adjuster will do some fact finding, and they might just or might close out the claim. CWP, close without pay.
Okay.
But it's still on your clue report. It's on record that you had a claim on such and such a date. It was a water claim. It was a wind claim with no payout. And yes, carriers don't like to see that.
What does that mean for you as the customer then?
Well, it can impact your rate, and it can impact your ability to get insurance.
Okay.
And so I want to circle this into what this means for real estate, because in every real estate transaction, any attorney that is going to represent a buyer, they're going to send a letter to the seller's attorney, and one of the questions on every attorney review letter says, have there been any insurance claims? Sometimes they ask 5 years, sometimes they ask 10 years, and sometimes they ask forever. And they ask that question because how many claims, the amount of them, could impact the buyer's ability to get insurance, and a provision of the real estate contract is subject to the buyer's ability to get insurance for their property. We're in a transaction right now where the buyers were given a notice of inability to insure from their insurance provider, and they were requesting much more information. It turns out that there was, for some reason, this never happened. The seller says, nope, this never happened. But the insurance company thinks that there was a claim made because a tree fell on the neighbor's fence or something like that. I don't remember the details. But this was an inaccurate thing within the information that they found. But that could prevent the buyer from obtaining insurance, and therefore they can't purchase the property, and that would kill the transaction. I had a situation, this goes back 25 years. My car was broken into, and they stole a laptop. And I called, just like you said, the actual claims department, not my agent. And I said, hey, am I covered for this? And they said, do you use it for personal or business? I said, I use it for business. And they says, no, it's not covered. And then a couple years later, we bought a house, and they gave me the rate. And I said, why is the rate so high? My friend's got this. And he goes, oh, well, because you have a claim.
Right.
I was like, no, I don't. I didn't realize a claim had to be paid out to be a claim. Having that just ask that question is enough to make the claim. And it cost me, I don't know, maybe an extra $60, $70 a month. Sure. But, at that time, 25 years ago, that was a lot of money to me.
So to chime in there, because we're on this show, we're really big about arming our listeners with information. We like to educate our listeners. And what I'm hearing is that it's really important to call your insurance agent.
Yes, talk to your agent
before calling the company. So when searching for homeowners insurance, because I always like to tell people, here are some questions that you could ask. Here are some things you could bring up when having those initial conversations to make sure that you are getting, a good deal, or getting at least not totally screwed in something, right? Is making sure that you are connecting with an agent who's going to be available to you, who you can be able to call up, not personally, but I mean directly, to be able to have those conversations with, to avoid accidentally opening claims that you didn't need to, when really all you were doing is information seeking. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. I want to bring a question back to kind of the beginning of when you were speaking. You had mentioned agents not educating their customers. Do you want to talk a little bit more about like what that looks like from an insurance side? Like how would one be educating their customers? What are some of the things that they would be, what's some of the information they could be providing them?
Well, obviously the main thing on that would be coverage. And a lot of the gaps in coverage that I see on policies when I'm reviewing them, or when I see oftentimes when I do see a claim that there was no payout because there wasn't coverage.
Mm-hmm.
But the two main things, other than your basic homeowner's policy that's going to cover the dwelling, it's going to cover your personal property, it's going to cover loss of use if you can't live in your home due to a claim, it's going to cover personal liability for property damage or bodily injury that you're responsible for. Most policies are going to cover that. But the two main gaps that I see are not having water backup coverage, because that's an endorsement. It's not automatically covered. If you have a finished lower level, like if it's a bi-level or raised ranch or a tri-level or a finished basement, you've got to have water backup coverage. Otherwise, that type of water damage, water backing up through sewers or drains, is not covered. And then also, there are limits on certain types of personal property because not everybody has them, and the policy's not priced for that. The main one would be jewelry.
Okay.
So those are the two main gaps that I see. Those are areas where clients need to be educated about what's covered and what's not covered. But it just requires a conversation. It requires an agent doing fact-finding, making sure he understands all the exposures that are out there and how to cover them properly. But like we were talking with, about, some of the trends that are happening with roofs and storm damage, another thing people need to be careful about is what is your deductible, and is it a reasonable and manageable deductible? When I see a high deductible, I ask why people have it. Mm-hmm. Is it to keep the premium down and you think you're never going to have a claim? Or were you completely unaware of it and the agent just put that on there? Mm-hmm. So that's one thing. And then also making sure that there is replacement cost coverage on the roof rather than actual cash value, if at all possible.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I have a question for you, Dan. How active are you on TikTok?
I would say, unless my son sends me something, it's pretty close to zero.
Okay, so are you familiar at all then with like the narrative surrounding homeowners insurance that is happening on TikTok currently?
No, I'm not.
Okay, so there is a lot of discussion being had surrounding home insurance, and specifically the monthly payments that home insurance rates are skyrocketing to,
right.
Especially in areas like Florida and California. But even here in Illinois, I'm hearing clients talk to me about it as well. Basically, talking about how the monthly rate that people are being expected to pay for homeowners insurance now is outrageous, to the point that people are no longer able to afford their homes that they were once able to afford. And there's a lot of blame being placed on homeowners insurance companies. I'm curious if you have any thoughts on that, any way you'd like to respond to that general narrative.
Well, I would not place blame with the insurance companies because the insurance companies have to price the product properly to stay viable, to be able to pay claims. But I completely understand and can appreciate why people feel that way, because there is truth to it. When I started as an agent in 1995, maybe homes were, we were insuring homes for $150,000, $220,000, in that area, $100 a square foot as far as replacement cost. $500 deductible on the policy. When I started my agency, I focused, Dick, on Country Walk subdivision because I lived there, and it was basically newer homes, people that had moved from other areas into the area, so they might not have a local agent. But homeowners premiums were I'd like to see the homeowner's premiums be under $300 a year.
Okay. Wow. I'd like to see that too.
And auto insurance, the average, married couple over 25 years old, newer vehicles, full coverage on each vehicle, those were $300 every 6 months. So $1,200 a year for auto insurance, $300 a year for homeowners insurance. Now fast forward to, let's not say today, let's say 2021.
Okay.
Let's say January 20th of 2021. Auto insurance rates the same. My clients up until 2022 will say paying $1,500 a year for their 2 new vehicles, but paying $1,200 a year for homeowners insurance.
Mm-hmm.
So over the course of almost 25 years, auto insurance rates staying about the same, and homeowners insurance quadrupling.
Mm-hmm.
And now these last 3 years, everything, both lines of business have exponentially gone up.
Yeah, absolutely.
So whereas before, like we were talking about earlier, you have principal and interest, you have the taxes, and then you have the tiniest piece of the pie, the homeowner's insurance, $30, $40, $50 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's a significant, it may still be the lowest, but it's significant, a couple $100 a month.
Yeah.
The average homeowner's premium in Illinois right now is $2,200.
Mm-hmm.
So that's almost $200 a month on your, on your escrow account.
That's triple what it was when I started in real estate.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's crazy. So my follow-up question, so what I'm hearing is, and I like to kind of reiterate that, like what I'm hearing back as to kind of help guide the listeners who may not always be aware of like what different jargon means, and kind of just like help guide them through some of these conversations. So what I'm hearing is that a big factor into why things are more expensive right now is replacement cost, correct?
Well, replacement cost is higher. And yes, we have to price based on a total loss. What is our maximum payout on a claim? It could be $500,000 on the dwelling. It could be plus $300,000 on personal property, another $100,000 for additional living expenses. So it's priced on that. So that is definitely one of the 2 main factors, and inflation has caused those issues. The other factor is we are experiencing more severe weather trends. So we have more claims are more expensive and they're more frequent. So.
Is there a supply and demand component to this too, as well, with like some insurance companies just completely backing out of states?
There hasn't been until recently, I would say in the last year. But because carriers are losing so much money, a lot of them have put restrictions on new business, and a lot of them have stopped writing business altogether. And people are, listeners are probably familiar with the difficulty of obtaining homeowners insurance in California, in Florida, but it is happening in other states as well. Most states right now, Illinois included. Artificial restrictions that are put in place. I have one carrier that will not insure a home if the roof is over 10 years old.
Whoa. Okay.
Nothing wrong with a 10-year-old roof, but that's just a restriction they put in to tap the brakes, to slow things down. And when carriers are not writing business, obviously the inventory is less, and that puts more pressure on the price. So the carriers that are still writing business have to continue to adjust.
I really appreciate that. We're going to have to take a break, just a quick break. But when we come back, because we run out of time just a little bit, I do want you to get into a little bit about what options insureds have for maybe shopping for better rates or maybe ways they can kind of lessen the pain, because we've done a great job of inflicting the pain with that. But let's see how we could solve a little bit of it. Not going to be able to solve it all, but at least give you options to help you kind of shop around for ways to be more competitive in what you acquire. We'll be right back.
Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr will return in just a few moments after these important messages. Don't touch that dial.
Support for Unlocking Lake County is provided by Fidelity National Title Insurance Company, offering title insurance and real estate services. With origins tracing back over 150 years, Fidelity National Title facilitates secure closing processes for buyers, sellers, and real estate professionals. Anyone looking for more information can find them on the web at www.fntic.com. Fidelity National Title has offices located all throughout Lake and McHenry counties.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
You guys have a great radio station. You just play the best music.
Support for Unlocking Lake County is provided by Harder & Shotland Law Firm, offering legal services across various areas including criminal defense, real estate, family law, and more. Harder & Shotland is committed to addressing the legal needs of individuals and businesses with a focus on thorough and knowledgeable representation. Information on Harder & Shotland Law Firm can be found at hardershotland.com or by visiting their office at 625 West Rollins Road in Round Lake Beach. They can also be reached at 847-546-0022.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
Unlocking Lake County.
98.3 The Life.
It's the best station on the radio.
Support for Unlocking Lake County comes from the Sly Marinca team at Cross Country Mortgage, specializing in a range of mortgage solutions tailored to meet the needs of homebuyers and homeowners. With a focus on delivering efficient and knowledgeable service, the Sly Marinca team is dedicated to facilitating a smooth mortgage process. Their office is located at 532 Lake Street, Suite A in Antioch, Illinois. They can also be reached at sly@ccm.com or by phone at 847-722-1775.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County.
Unlocking Lake County
with Dick Barr. 98.3 The Life.
Support for Unlocking Lake County comes from the Dick Barr Group at Village Realty, offering both residential and commercial real estate services across northeastern Illinois. Find us at our office located at 1915 East Grand Avenue in Lindenhurst, or visit us online at www.dickbarr.com. For a personal real estate experience, they can also be reached at 847-579-9736. At the Dick Barr Group, your property goals are their mission.
This is Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
Support for Unlocking Lake County is provided by Fidelity National Title Insurance Company, offering title insurance and real estate services. With origins tracing back over 150 years, Fidelity National Title facilitates secure closing processes for buyers, sellers, and real estate professionals. Anyone looking for more information can find them on the web at www.fntic.com. Fidelity National Title has offices located all throughout Lake and McHenry counties.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
Your favorite show right here on 98.3 FM.
98.3 The Life.
Support for Unlocking Lake County is provided by Harder & Shotland Law Firm, offering legal services across various areas including criminal defense, real estate, family law, and more. Harder & Shotland is committed to addressing the legal needs of individuals and businesses with a focus on thorough and knowledgeable representation. Information on Harder & Shotland Law Firm can be found at hardershotland.com or by visiting their office at 625 West Rollins Road in Round Lake Beach. They can also be reached at 847-546-0022.
Unlocking Lake County.
98.3 The Life.
Support for Unlocking Lake County is provided by Harder and Shotland Law Firm, offering legal services across various areas including criminal defense, real estate, family law, and more. Harder and Shotland is committed to addressing the legal needs of individuals and businesses with a focus on thorough and knowledgeable representation. Information on Harder and Shotland Law Firm can be found at hardershotland.com or by visiting their office at 625 West Rollins Road in Round Lake Beach. They can also be reached at 847-546-0022.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
You guys have a great radio station. You just play the best music.
Support for Unlocking Lake County comes from the Sly Marinca team at Cross Country Mortgage, specializing in a range of mortgage solutions tailored to meet the needs of homebuyers and homeowners. With a focus on delivering efficient and knowledgeable service, the Sly Marinca team is dedicated to facilitating a smooth mortgage process. Their office is located at 532 Lake Street, Suite A in Antioch, Illinois. They can also be reached at sly@ccm.com or by phone at 847-722-1775.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
Unlocking Lake County.
98.3 The Life.
It's the best station on the radio.
Support for Unlocking Lake County comes from the Dick Barr Group at Village Realty, offering both residential and commercial real estate services across northeastern Illinois. Find us at our office located at 1915 East Grand Avenue in Lindenhurst, or visit us online at www.dickbarr.com. For a personal real estate experience, they can also be reached at 847-579-9736. At the Dick Barr Group, your property goals are their mission.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County.
Unlocking Lake County.
With Dick Barr. 98.3 The Life.
Support for Unlocking Lake County is provided by Fidelity National Title Insurance Company, offering title insurance and real estate services. With origins tracing back over 150 years, Fidelity National Title facilitates secure closing processes for buyers, sellers, and real estate professionals. Anyone looking for more information can find them on the web at www.fntic.com. Fidelity National Title has offices located all throughout Lake and McHenry counties.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
You guys have a great radio station. You just play the best music.
Support for Unlocking Lake County is provided by Harder and Shotland Law Firm, offering legal services across various areas including criminal defense, real estate, family law, and more. Harder and Shotland is committed to addressing the legal needs of individuals and businesses with a focus on thorough and knowledgeable representation. Information on Harder and Shotland Law Firm can be found at hardershotland.com or by visiting their office at 625 West Rollins Road in Round Lake Beach. They can also be reached at 847-546-0022.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
Unlocking Lake County.
98.3 The Life.
It's the best station on the radio.
Support for Unlocking Lake County comes from the Sly Marinca team at Cross Country Mortgage, specializing in a range of mortgage solutions tailored to meet the needs of homebuyers and homeowners. With a focus on delivering efficient and knowledgeable service, the Sly Marinca team is dedicated to facilitating a smooth mortgage process. Their office is located at 532 Lake Street, Suite A in Antioch, Illinois. They can also be reached at sly@ccm.com or by phone at 847-722-1775.
Welcome back to Unlocking Lake County with your host, Dick Barr.
Welcome back. This is your host, Dick Barr, here with Unlocking Lake County with Christin Kaufman. Say hello.
Hi, friends. Thanks for listening.
Sly Marinca.
Welcome back, everyone.
And Dan Weier.
Hey, everybody.
Excellent. I like it when it goes tech smooth. Any no complaints about the stream, right?
Nope, none
Everything
at all.
good this week. Last week we had some Sly. You missed it.
No.
It was
Oh, yeah.
terrible. We had Mary Cole in. She's running for state's attorney. We were in doing an interview, and the first 15 minutes we couldn't figure out. We were doubling the sound, so people couldn't listen to anything. So we had to cut to music breaks a couple times
Yeah,
to
and then there
figure
was
it
no
out.
sound on the live stream.
What was the problem?
Well, it turns.
dick.
Yeah, exactly.
User error?
Yeah, I had two feeds going into the to the sound, so able to figure that out and cut out the sound, and we're good. So the first half hour of this hour, we were talking with Dan Weier about insurance and what's causing the problems, why are insurance rates skyrocketing, but now I'd like to talk to Dan briefly because we only have about 16 minutes left, I want to talk to him about what are some options homeowners or anyone has to try to find some savings in the insurance process. So Dan, you're a broker. Explain to me the difference between having an insurance broker versus just a typical a main company insurance agent.
Sure. Well, the basic difference is our value proposition is that we work with multiple carriers. So your best chance of success is getting more options, getting more quotes from different companies. Companies have so many different underwriting guidelines. Some will, like I said, right now, won't take a roof if it's over 10 years old or 15 years old. Some will not take a claim in the last 5 years. Some will only have a 3-year look-back period. So many different underwriting guidelines that, the more companies that we can quote with and offer, that's our best chance of success, to have a competitive premium, one that's reasonable, one that will help you qualify for your mortgage, help you afford your mortgage. So that's my number one suggestion. My number two suggestion would be to review your coverage with your agent. Have him or her review it for coverages, for discounts that are available. And the strange thing that I see from time to time, and people think that this somehow automatically happens. Nothing automatically happens in the insurance world, but your carrier in 2021 bought you a new roof, but no one updated the age of the roof on your policy, because claims doesn't talk to underwriting or your agent. So it's up to your agent to know to correct the age of the roof on your home. The odd thing is, it's counterintuitive, but you can get a new roof, and you're worried about your rate going up. Your rate actually will go down because you have a new roof.
Interesting.
And the discount for that new roof is going to more than offset any claim surcharge that a carrier might give you. And a weather-related claim surcharge is either non-existent or much smaller than, say, a fire claim or a theft claim.
So like an act of God type thing.
Yes.
A force majeure. So the way I look at brokerage versus a sitting agent would, and correct me if I'm wrong, is on a typical main carrier, their agents work for the main carrier, and when I hire a broker to get me insurance, you work for me.
That's true. So a captive agent, as we call them, their primary obligation is to the company. A independent agent or a broker, their primary obligation is to their client. They represent the client to the company and get the best result they can for the client, all while, of course, acting appropriately and ethically with the insurance company. But your priority is the client. Correct.
Okay. The so if I've got a client who's trying to buy a house and they're coming back with a $2,200 insurance quote from their main carrier, and let's say they were to speak to a broker, is it likely that they'd get savings or unlikely that they would get savings? Is it a good idea to do it just to find out what your options are? What are your thoughts on that?
Again, I would say it is likely because, if you called another captive agent, is it likely? It's not as likely because there's only one option. But, calling an independent agent who works with 5, 6, 10 carriers, yes, there definitely is, strength in numbers as far as having the opportunity to come up with a carrier that has underwriting guidelines that are going to be favorable for your particular situation. And like I say, that gives us our best chance of success.
Okay, cool. Hey, guys, you have any other follow-up questions?
Probably a lot of them when it comes to insurance, right? Just really quickly, if you could give me one or two example questions that you wish that customers would be asking an insurance broker or an insurance agent upon starting to look for homeowners insurance. What are some questions that you wish people would ask?
Well, this is an unusual question for me because all these insurance questions, usually people don't even, when they find out I'm an insurance agent, you can be at a party and, somebody asks you what you do. I'm an insurance agent. They're like, I think my arch enemy just walked in. I should probably go say hello. But no. So I'm really enjoying talking about insurance. I am kind of an insurance nerd, but I would say the best thing to for a client to ask the the insurance agent. As far as coverage goes,
I think when interviewing an agent too.
Yeah, like when they're searching.
What's good questions for?
As far as interviewing an agent, I think the number one question is this: Do you assist and advocate for claims? A lot of agents do not get involved with claims. They wash their hands of it. They say I'm not an adjuster. There's another department that does that, but. Many times my feeling is this, that, I see claims, I worry about coverage, I worry about what could happen, so I make sure there's proper coverage on the policy, but I see claims all the time. I see the success stories, and, putting people's, sometimes you're putting their life back together, but sometimes you're just putting their day back together.
Sure.
But, the bottom line is a client, this might be his first claim. He might not have any experience with this, and there's a lot of anxiety associated with that. And to have someone that you know and trust that will help you navigate the situation helps immensely.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you don't want an agent that's going to wash their hands of helping you with a claim.
And what about, is it a reasonable question to say, will you review my policies every year and find me better discounts or possibilities that I can get into?
Yes, and that's important too, to ask what their process is for reviewing coverage, fact-finding to see if there are any changes that they should be aware of.
Because if someone's assets increase over the course of a policy, they might need more coverage, especially on liability, maybe move into an umbrella of some sort.
Right, exactly. And then from time to time, there are other things that just seem to pop up that everybody should be aware of. And this would be a PSA. Those of you who have e-bikes, there is no coverage on your homeowner's policy for liability.
Wow. Interesting. That's a good PSA.
So, like you say, Dick, somebody has a lot of assets and they're out riding their e-bikes and they injure somebody. You're in the forest preserve, you turn a corner and there is somebody, you run them over. Unless you have a policy on your e-bike, there's not going to be any liability to protect you against a lawsuit.
Even as an endorsement?
There's one company I'm aware of that does cover it.
Okay.
But for the most part,
great in question, and that's why your insurance broker or agent should know a lot about you and have all these questions, because you have to identify these places where you don't want holes in your coverage.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's huge.
Yeah, a big part of the conversations that we have here on the show is, so like we did a segment once about interview questions that you should ask a realtor before hiring them for the position and the privilege of representing you. And we've talked about that with Sly, about like, here are some questions that you can ask a mortgage broker when you are interviewing them for the position of representing you. And it's a similar concept that that we're kind of getting across here, is what are questions that you could be asking an insurance broker or agent when you are interviewing them for the position to represent you. And so being able to ask, like, will you advocate for me when it comes time to make a claim? And then will you look over my policy every year to see that I'm getting the best rate possible, are two questions that you should be asking an agent upon shopping around for insurance.
Now, Dan, if someone wanted to get a hold of you, you're still an active insurance agent, right?
Yes.
If someone wanted to get a hold of you, what number could they reach you at?
They could call or text us at 847-356-6400.
And do you have a website?
DMWagency.com.
I'm glad you didn't put "we're" in the name, because 5 years I think I've known you, 6 years maybe, and I still don't know how to spell it. There's so many
nobody does.
Yeah,
yes.
it's like
WEIR.
No,
WIER.
No, EIER.
Oh, there's
EIEIO.
Oh, there's a second E in there.
So that's DM Agency.
DMW
Agency.
So not BMW like the car, but D.
That's great. And then Sly, let's get a plug for you. If anyone wants to talk to you, get some of your knowledge, how can they reach you?
847-722-1775 is my cell phone number, and my website is ccmsly.com for cross-country mortgage sly.com.
Great. And then, Christin, if someone wants to reach you, how do they reach you?
The best way to reach me would be to call or text my cell phone. It is attached to my body at this point, 847-977-6751. Call or text anytime. I'm available.
Now, I want to plug something this week. So everyone, you guys all know that one of my good friends, Don Wilson, who recently moved. He kind of fled Illinois, moved to Kentucky, set up built a beautiful home with his wife so he could be close to his grandkids. But he comes back frequently to perform with Marinca.
The band is getting back together.
The band is getting back together, right? So he's going to be performing on June 29th. I don't know the time yet, but June 29th at Lakefront Park in Fox Lake. And he invited me to go on stage to do my Jake and Elwood Blues Brothers bit for Soul Man. So I'm going to be there. I'm going to be on stage doing that. Yeah, that's about the extent of what I do. But I have a lot of fun. I enjoy Marinca a lot. It's free to enter. There's no charge to go up there. It's just on the park. I don't know who's putting it on. I don't know who's sponsoring it. But I'll be at Lakefront Park on June 29th at some time. I'll probably say this again when I know what time it'll be. But I look forward to seeing as many of you there as possible. And I want to thank everyone. This was a great show, very informative. Dan, thanks for giving us so much time. I really appreciate it. Sly, as always, the information is perfect, and I think it's really helping people make better decisions and better timing. And Christin, thanks so much for everything you do to kind of keep the show running and keep some really hard-hitting, good factual basis.
My pleasure.
And then being able to translate for people so they understand, because a lot of times I'll talk at a level where I understand, and then people say, what are you talking about? So I really appreciate that. I want to thank everyone again for joining us for another episode of Unlocking Lake County. If you want to hear us next week, we'll be online again with Eric Yost, home inspector, and he'll be in the studio at from noon to 2 o'clock next week, and we'll talk about what you need to know about inspections and ways that you should interview your inspectors. Thanks again for joining us. This is Dick Barr signing out with Unlocking Lake County.
That's a wrap on today's episode of Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the heart of our community, exploring the ins and outs of real estate and meeting the people who make Lake County truly remarkable. Remember, every property has a story, and every community member holds a key to unlocking our county's full potential. Don't miss out on discovering more hidden gems and expert insights. Make sure to tune in every Wednesday at 12 noon for another episode of Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr. Until then, keep exploring, keep dreaming, and keep unlocking the possibilities that await you in Lake County. Thank you for listening, and see you next week.